Alrighty, it looks like I am live. Alrighty, I am so excited to be before you today. So I am live on Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. So I'm super excited to be here. Today I'm doing Thursday healing chats. Y'all know that I come live on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Typically, I did not this Tuesday because it was the 4th of July where I live at. And I just didn't feel like doing it. So anyway, thank you for joining. Make sure that as you come in, you tap on that screen. Give me some of those likes. But I'm going to talk about a little bit about the trauma of religion. That's what I'm talking about today. Because some people have had so many things happen, with religion. Church hurt is a real thing. It's not even no joke. And so I want to kind of talk a little bit about that because my backstory is I came from Pentecostal holiness. My grandmother was a pastor, preacher, teacher, evangelist, prophetess type is what I call her. But she also started, as toward the end of her life, she started kind of looking at other things, looking at, she started listening to Abraham Hicks and she started listening to Wayne Dyer and some of those other, Louise Hay was big for her. And so, she kind of she opened me up actually to all of that, even though at the time I didn't realize how big and how important it was. But now I know that it's so important for us to have our own relationship with God, and so for a long time, I didn't really want to talk about this stuff because I was, afraid of the judgment, because so much judgment, especially with people that identify as Christian, which I don't. I identify as a God girl because I love God. However, I love the bigness of God. I love God in the hugeness and not in the micromanaging of the church, in the brainwashing and the manipulation and all of those things that happen in religion. So, when I speak about this stuff, I can kind of speak with authority just because not only did I, was I in the Pentecostal holiness faith religion, but I also was, I also went to ministry school at one time. So, and I actually, when I was in certain churches, they called me a prophetess. So I knew that I had certain gifts. However, the trauma that happened in the church is real, and so many people have left religion and have decided that, some people leave religion and they leave God as well. So they, to me, they in essence throw out the baby with the bathwater, but the thing is you don't have to do it in that way. You don't have to do it in that way. You can keep God in the mix because I truly believe in God. I do. I just do not believe in the manipulation and the brainwashing that goes on in religion. Now, you can take this however you want to take it, because I am absolutely secure in who I am. However, I understand that some of the things that some some of the things that people deal with in this area, like a lot of times is, we have family and, a lot of our families are in the same religion, whether it's Christianity or Jehovah's Witness or the Latter-day Saints or, Islam, whatever it is, a lot of times we have family that's all involved in that. And we are afraid of the judgment. And for a long time I was. But now I have gotten my degree in metaphysics. I'm working on my master's and my PhD, metaphysics as well, because those are things that I desire to do. But the more I learn about, God in its true essence, instead of just what religion has put on us, and place us in this box, it's time to come out of the box. It's time to understand, who you are in terms of who God sees you. And that is one of the things that I love to help my clients to deal with, because a lot of times you don't understand, who you are in terms of who God created you to be and who you are as you walk through this life and the things that are happening with you and to you, and so many times, religion places God out there or up there and you here. And that is so not right. And it's so wrong. So wrong. God lives right here inside of each of us. Whether you acknowledge it or not, whether you have a problem. Whether you have a problem, that's so funny. Doctor Who, G91. Yeah, the thing is when you start learning that, God lives in us and that God does not desire for us to live in trauma. God does not desire for us to continue to, perpetuate these lies and these manipulations that they have perpetuated all of this time. Fitness trainer here, never too late to start losing weight. That is amazing, but I'm so good. I got about 15 pounds that I'm working on, and that's how I'm gonna do it. But I have to do it like I need to do it. Just saying, just for y'all weight loss trainers, people that come through, because people keep sending me stuff about losing weight like I want to. I'm a Black woman. I ain't trying to be a stick. I just want to be at a healthy weight that feels good for me, so that's where I'm at, and that's what I'm working on. So thank you though for that information. And those of you that are looking for a fitness trainer, check it out. Try slowing down on the cake. How you know I even eat cake? You about to get blocked. How you know I even eat cake? Because you probably don't even know how old I'm either. Yeah, that part. Way different. It's so different, because you probably in your 20s or 30s, and y'all can be so disrespectful to older people. But that's okay, because we just ignore y'all. Anyway, let me get back to what I was talking about. So I'm talking about how we can break free from, traditional religion, however, without leaving God. And so that is truly one of the things that I absolutely love to talk about, because so many people are dealing with so much issue. Yeah, I don't do dairy. I don't even do dairy, so that's not relevant to me either. Yeah, we're going to block your ass. Yeah, done with that. Okay, so again, now that I have gotten that person off talking about ice cream and cake and stuff like that, I mean, I love ice cream, but I barely eat it. I think I had ice cream probably once this month. Cake, I love that too, but I barely eat that either. But anyway, I'm moving on, because he got me all off kilter. So I'm talking about, when you start to understand the God lives inside of you, when you start to really realize and recognize that you've been hoodwinked and you've been bamboozled. In the words of Malcolm X, you've been hoodwinked and you've been bamboozled. You have been manipulated and brainwashed, many times, and when you begin to open up to spirit, really open up, and not the brainwashing and all the, because people love to throw scriptures at you. But many times what I've noticed is that they throw scriptures at you, but they don't look at what the scripture says. They don't look at what the context of the scripture is. They don't look at the scripture before it and after it that's going to tell you what it is that you need to understand. They just throw out that one little verse, like people will say they'll misquote the Bible all the time, and I have read the Bible many times, so I know quite a bit about it. But they will quote that scripture about sparing the rod and spoiling the child, which is bullshit. That's not even anywhere in the Bible. It says nothing about that. Nothing. The Bible does not say that. It says, he who spares the rod shames his son, or something like that. But it's nothing about, how they say it. And so when you start looking at these things and you start really realizing that, we have God, we have him, them, because God is a consciousness, definitely, and we can actually tap into that. And so when we are at that space, and especially when we begin to have a spiritual awakening, and so that happens many times, we have times where we are beginning to open up our gifts that we all have. We all have gifts, all of us, all of us. Now, if anybody tells you different, that's not true. We all have them, and they all rest inside of us. Many times, when we begin to have a spiritual awakening, what happens is our gifts begin to show up more prominent in our life. So they begin to come through for us, and so a lot of times, people start having those experiences. They start hearing spirit because, a lot of times the church, depending on what type of church you went to, they'd say that, you can't do it. A lot of times, especially in the Catholic Church, only person could hear God probably was the priest, or one of the nuns, that kind of thing. But that's not true either. That is not true. God speaks to each and every one of us each and every day, multiple times a day, many times, usually all day, every day is what I say. Because people say, well, how do you talk to God? I say all day, every day, because God speaks to us in different ways. But a lot of times, religion will try to make it so that it's just comes from one man, or, comes from one person, or comes from, one source. But it really does come from one source. It comes from the source. So as we move forward in our lives and we begin to really heal, because that is one of the things that I have experienced on the spiritual awakening journey, is the healing that has come. So much healing. It's like you actually coming out of a dark forest, into the light. And so that is what is happening to many of you. Many of you are experiencing this journey. And the reason why I know is because I am able to talk about it, and I'm able to be a guide, and I'm able to, help you to navigate that path, because that path is huge, and it can be hard, especially if you are at a space where you have been indoctrinated. And many of us have, by religion. We've been indoctrinated. It has, it's come to us, and, they poured it in us. They started, I tell people I was spoon-fed the Bible, as a child, and it's okay. And it was a good thing, I do believe. However, what religion did to God's source universe is try to bring it down to our level. But really what we should do is go up to their level, take it to the Christ consciousness level, take it to the place where we begin to connect with our soul, with our source, with the God that lives in each and every single one of us. So I have a group on Facebook that is new. I just started it, it's new, but it's called Spiritual But Not Religious. And so these are some of the things that we're going to talk about, because I can show you a lot of things about religion, and I can actually take you to the Bible to show you some things, because that's what I know, because I know it well. I went to ministry school, and I also was in the church for 40, 50 years. So it's something that I know well, and I can also relate it to what is going on in the metaphysics world, because that is the world that I have stepped into now. So if you are on your journey and you're looking for community, then come and join us in my group, Spiritual But Not Religious, on Facebook. I think I have the link tree in there, and I'll actually put that in there in the link tree, so you can click on the link tree and then click on the group in order to come. So if that's something that you're interested in, or you could also reach out to me, send me a message. If this is a space that you are in and you're trying to get motivated to step on out, to leave that behind, because I know it can be difficult, especially if you have a lot of family in it. Because I actually have family on one side of my family that's Jehovah's Witness, and the other side is like super Christian. So, go figure. But I know that when you're in that type of environment, you get ostracized when you step away from it. And I have had that experience. You get ostracized, and you get not invited to the family cookouts and gatherings, because everything is surrounded by religion and church and doctrines. But when it's time for you, when you decide, when it feels right to you, to get away from that stuff and to allow yourself to be free and allow yourself to move into really connecting with God, with source, with the universe, whatever you call him, her, or them. Because you know what? I'm not going to fight or battle anybody for what they call the source, the creator of all there is. You can call it whatever you want. My grandmother gave was talking to somebody one time that was Jehovah's Witness, and they were talking about how people didn't know God's name was Jehovah. And so my grandmother, being the beautiful spirit pastor that she was, told this person, said, if I call you whatever his name was, will you answer? And they said, yeah. And then she said, well, if I call you, and she called his middle name, will you answer? If I call you your last name, will you answer? And he said, yes. And she said, this is the same way that God is. It doesn't matter what you call him, as long as you connect with him, as long as you connect with them, as long as you connect with that consciousness, they'll listen. They will listen. And so I have stepped forward to be that guide, to help you to navigate that, because I know that it can be so hard, especially if you have family, that are in that, or, you're like me, we had a family church. So, my grandmother was a pastor, and we all went to that church and all of that kind of stuff. And, it can be difficult, and it can be difficult to really begin to open up your mind, because a lot of times what religion does is it closes your mind and it puts you in a box, and it allows you not to be able to feel your feelings, because they tell you a lot of times, oh, well, Jesus don't care about your feelings, but that's a bunch of bullshit too, because Jesus does care about your feelings. Because the thing about it is, when you manifest, the feeling is the secret. People say that stuff. I remember I used to hear it and hear it and hear it and hear it, but I really didn't get it until now. Like in this last year, I started really stepping into that and getting that the feeling really is the secret. So when you begin to understand that, and it begins to open up things for you, and you begin to understand that God is for you, because a lot of times in religion, they make you feel like God is just this big man up in the sky waiting to, hit you with a whip, waiting to, destroy your life, or waiting to, make everything fail for you or something like that. It's just crazy. Or if you don't do what it is that they feel like you should do, then there's a God up there that's going to just smack you. He's going to trip you up. He's going to take your candy and take your cake. He's going to take your food. He's going to, allow you to starve. He's going to put you in another space, going to send you to hell. That one, and so, the thing is once you begin to get out of that, it's almost like you have, your nervous system begins to correct. Your nervous system begins to correct, because I don't know about you, but it feels super bad to me to think that, I'm going to hell for something that I did, and I think about it like this. If some of the politicians that we have had in recent past have not gone to hell, then I think I'm all right. I think I'm all right. And, I honestly feel like hell is a consciousness. It is a place that, you are when you're going through. That's what I feel like. I feel like it's a place that you are when you are going through. That's why people say all the time, oh, I'm going through hell. And they probably did. I always tell people that I've already been there. I've been through hell. I had a first marriage. There's a lot of hell in there. But yeah, so really, as you move forward in your life and you begin to see things for what they really are, because that is the other thing about religion. It's like it puts blinders over your eyes so you can't see. You're almost like the horse. It's all you're looking at, and I've heard people say this. Well, my pastor said, okay, well, that's good. I'm glad he said that. Hey, Kim, thank you for joining. Make sure as you join, tap that screen. Give me some of them likes, y'all. Appreciate it. And thank you for the gifts. But it's like, religion a lot of times puts people in a place where they don't think for themselves. They just really start, just really going, into, okay, well, pastor said this and pastor said that and pastor said that. And, evangelist so-and-so said that and prophet so-and-so said that. And it's like your mind is you're not even thinking. You can't even think for yourself. You can't even, hear God for you, And so, what's wild is when you get on live is when everybody wants to call you or text you or send you messages, all of that kind of stuff. It's amazing and I'm grateful for it. However, anyway, that is my spiel. But, when you start understanding and opening up, because that is really what is key. It's like you start opening up to all of the things that, maybe people told you, was wrong. Like I had such a problem, when I first started on this journey. I used to read cards and stuff like that, which I have like so many of them here. So many cards. So many cards. But I started reading cards. And when I first started reading cards, I got so much hate I call them super Christians. So much hate. I had somebody send me a message on one of my platforms. I think it might have been, I don't know if it was Facebook or YouTube, but it sent me a message under one of my videos like, you need Jesus. And I was like, at first I didn't even want to respond because that's what I do now. I just don't respond because you know what? It's no sense in responding to stupidity. But I I was kind of hurt. That hurt my feelings because I love Jesus and Jesus is my dude. And so, but I think I responded this particular time and I said, apparently you need Jesus. I said, because the last time I checked, Jesus was love. Jesus is love. So if you're not showing love, then that means you need Jesus. I was like, Jesus was not a person that showed hate. And the other thing about Jesus was Jesus went out into the community. He did not stay up in the church with the Pharisees and the Sadducees. He went out into the community to help the people that needed him. Because the Pharisees and the Sadducees, they were so haughty that they didn't really need him, or they didn't feel like they needed him. But the people out in the community knew they needed. They knew they needed, and he knew. And so that's what he did. He didn't stay up in them churches and be sitting up in the pulpit, or like one of the girls on here was talking about her Daddy Grace, sweet daddy Grace, or whatever his name is. She's talking about him, the girls fanning him in the church and all this stuff. And I actually went to a church where the man was so big, y'all, the pastor, the bishop, was so big that he could not even get out. Okay, I'm done with this here. Okay, so, but the pastor, he was so big, y'all, he couldn't even get about the chair. He had to preach sitting down in the chair. That's how big he was. And I thought at that time, I was young when I did that, but I thought at that time, I was like, that's crazy. I was like, that is so crazy. It's like, is that not a sin for him to be that big? Is that not a sin for him, to have eaten like that? I was like, is that not a sin? All right. So anyway, but these are some of the things that you could think about, because they put so many things on you. They have small sins and big sins, which, a sin is a sin. If it's wrong, it's wrong. Big or little, it's wrong. You know what I mean? And they ostracize whole groups of people. Whole groups of people. Now, one of the things that I cannot get behind that really got to me when I started thinking about, the Christian thing, it's like, okay, so are the Christians the ones that hung my people's asses on the tree and justified it by the Bible? Were those the Christian people? Are those the people that I'm supposed to worship with? I mean, is that how that goes? Or, justified slavery because, it was in the Bible or something like that? I mean, are those the people? Or justified the fact that, Black people don't need to, are not citizens, are not human beings, are not real and all that stuff, and justified it by the Bible? Are those the people that I'm supposed to worship with? Are those the ones? Because I need to know. Tell me, share with me. So those are some of the parts and pieces that, started getting to me when I started on this journey to spirituality, because I knew that God existed and I love God. Jesus was the greatest metaphysician. He was a healer, and I love Jesus. Jesus works with me in all of my sessions. However, I cannot get behind the divisiveness, the brainwashing, the manipulation, the setting apart of religion. I can't get behind that. Because why are you here and I'm here? I mean, what is that about? No, that is not real and it's not true. So those are some of the things, the reasons why I knew that I had to get rid of religion. Now, hear me when I say that. I say get rid of religion, not God. Not God. Now, am I anti-church? No, I'm not. I'm just anti-religion. I cannot do religion. It is just every time I think about it, it's like, no. I know that there's a better way. I know that. And as I began to come into this, which I started coming to this about 10 years ago. About 10 years ago, it's taken me to this point to get to a place where I can speak on it like I am now. But about 10 years ago, I started getting to it. I was like, you know what? No. Because religion has ruined families, it's ruined relationships, it's ruined people. So no, I can't get with that. Can't get with it. Can't do it. I am here, speaking on how we can actually be manifest in our life. How we can actually, tap into the gifts that we have been given, that God gave us. Spiritual gifts actually are in the Bible, in case anybody wanted to know. I just interviewed a beautiful young lady, and the interview is coming on YouTube on Saturday. It's going to be Saturday at 4 o'clock Pacific time and 7 o'clock Eastern time. But I interviewed a beautiful young lady, Shaman Dejanay. She's an amazing, beautiful soul. Her interview is going to be fire. It already was. I already listened to it. I'm going to listen again. But it was so good. And we touched on that. And she said that when she found out that spiritual gifts were in the Bible in Ephesians, then that actually helped her, because she's on the same journey where she came from, religion and all that stuff, and into spirituality where, it's just God, source, universe, And the thing is too, y'all got to understand and know that a lot of religion's purpose is keeping you down, keeping you bound, keeping you subservient. That's a bunch of bullshit. Okay. I'm just going to put it out there like that. But that is what a lot of the goals of religion was. That is why really they created these things, these man-made religions, to keep people in their places, to keep people of color in their places and in their spaces. But you know what? I don't have a space for that. I don't have a space for that. There's no space for me. You can't put me in a box, because I'm not a box person. I'm not. I'm not a box person. Thank y'all so much for joining and hanging out. And thank y'all for tapping that screen for me. Give me some of them likes. So, but I appreciate the fact that, I was raised in a way that made me know who God was. I appreciate that completely. I believe in not throwing away the baby with the bathwater, in terms of, appreciating the fact that I was able to be raised with an appreciation of God. And I do. I have an appreciation. I have a love for God. Because one of the stories that I share is that without God, I would not be here, literally, because I have had an occasion or two to where I was dying. When I had my youngest child, I was so sick. They had no idea what was wrong with me. The doctors still to this day probably don't have a clue. They don't know. They didn't know. There was no diagnosis. I had this baby and my stomach started swelling back up. And basically it was like I was still 9 months pregnant after I had the baby. And my lungs started shutting down. I started, I was throwing up. I couldn't eat, for 2 weeks. They were actually about to take me back to surgery, which I had a C-section. So I had already had surgery. And matter of fact, that was the second C-section. So that was the second time. And so they were about to take me back to surgery and stuff like that. And then my body just started healing itself, which is how I know that our bodies can heal themselves. I know this without a shadow of a doubt. I know that our bodies are designed to heal themselves. Now, what happened to me, the experience that I had was I was I was laying in bed, because I couldn't really do much else. And they had me so drugged up. They were giving me Demerol like every 4 hours. I wasn't even asking for it, but they were giving it to me. And so I was so drugged up. But this particular night, I think I told them I didn't want any more at that time. Because to be honest, Demerol makes me crazy, so I don't take it. Matter of fact, now it is on my list of allergies because it makes me crazy and I can't deal with it. So I don't take it. So anyhow, I had some angels that came in my room that night and sat around my bed. They sat around the 4 posts of my bed. It was 4 of them, and they were dressed in white suits. No wings, no halos, none of that stuff. Now, how I knew they were angels, I just knew. I felt them. I knew that they were angels, but they came and they sat on the 4 corners of my bed. They didn't say anything. They didn't speak. They just sat there. And I noticed them there for a while. I think it probably was maybe 10 or 15 minutes or something, but it felt like longer, but I don't think it was that long. But I saw them there and I knew that they were there for me, to help me to heal. And it was that night when the shift happened. And I called for help to get up because I need to go to the bathroom or something. And like a lot of facilities and nurses and things do, they just ignore you. And so they did. And so I got up and, and I hadn't been up in like probably a week at that time, but I got up and I went to the bathroom. And when they came in the room, they found I had walked in, I snatched the catheter out, which was not a good thing. It just wasn't a good look. It's really, but that's what happened, and then after that, it's like everything started just going back in order. My stomach started going down, everything started shifting, my lungs started working, and it was just an amazing experience. So that's why I say that I know that God is real, and I know that that they're healers. And I know that our body is designed to heal itself. But we have to stay in that connection with God. We have to stay in connection with the spiritual team, with the Father, with our angels, with Jesus. We have to stay in connection with that, And then I have another testimony. My ex was HIV positive about now 23 years ago, we found out. But at the time, we were still married. And I know that God protected me because I'm not. And I know that it was nothing but God that protected me from that situation. because we had been married for a while, and they really didn't know when he contracted that condition, but God. So that's why when people say stuff to me about, I don't believe in God or something like that, because people say all kind of ugly, evil stuff. And typically it's Christians, super Christians that say that, because, they're judgmental. They forgot the scripture about judge not lest ye be judged. They forgot that one. They left that one out. Matter of fact, they probably took it out their Bible. But I know, and I don't have a doubt, because I know that it it was not just me. You know what I mean? It wasn't me. I didn't do it. God protected me for sure, because it wasn't like, we don't know when he picked that up, because the story about him is he was just whorish. He just was whorish. I don't have anything else to say about that. So we don't know when he got that. You know what I mean? So I don't know how long we were together, with sleeping together and everything, that he had that. You understand what I'm saying? And so for me, I have no doubt, and I have no qualms about talking about God, and how I know that he protected me, and how I know that if it wasn't for God, I probably wouldn't be here today. First with the baby, I was 22 years old, y'all, and I was having this baby and dealing with all this stuff. So I know I know that. And so I know that as much as I know that what I'm doing now is what I'm supposed to be doing. So if you are on your journey and you are coming from deep religion, and you're experiencing a lot of the guilt and the things that we experience when we cross over, and you're looking for community, come and join my Facebook group, Spiritual But Not Religious. Like I said, I will put the link inside of the link tree, so when you go in there, you can find the group and just be able to click on it. But that's what I'm feeling, and I wanted to just come on and just share that, because I know that there are probably a lot of people that are, dealing with the same thing, that are conflicted because of the feelings of how you feel and how the church made you feel. How they make us feel like we are, lower than dirt, things like that. And that is just wrong, but they do that so that they can manipulate you and brainwash you, because when you come in and you feel like, you're just such a sinner and you're just lower than dirt, then, then they can tell you whatever, and you will listen to it because you are so hungry and you're looking. And so then when you get to this space where you're like, okay, no. God is not this man up in the sky with this whip waiting to whip me and all this kind of stuff. And I think about that, it's almost like when we used to pray that prayer, now I'll lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord my soul to keep. And if I should die before I wake, that is scary, y'all. I don't know if y'all realize that. Most of us didn't realize it because that is what we were taught, and that was what, it came through like that. Most of us didn't realize. We just didn't know. We didn't know. But when you think back on that and you sit down and look at some of those things that we were taught, oh my God, if I should die before I'm awake and I'm 3, come on. No. That is just so not cool. But and I understand actually, how this can be such a, to me, I feel like a shapeshifter. I feel like I shifted my shape. I shifted my shape to stand up here and talk to people about releasing all of those limitations. Because there's so many limitations that they place on us in religion. And there are some worse than others, because you had some of those churches. I remember I went to some church, you had to wear a thing on your head. You couldn't go into church without a doily on your head or something. And I always wondered, why was that just for women? They didn't care if men wore hats. Matter of fact, if they wore hats, they had to take them off when they came into church. So why is it that it's just that women have to cover their head? Why women have to put the doilies on their head? You know, and why we got to wear dresses down to our ankle? I mean, my thing is I'm 5 feet tall. If I wear a dress down to my ankle, I look like a frump. It just does not work unless I'm in a wedding. You know what I mean? But it's not something that, you know, I'm going to do every time, all the time. You know, so I often wondered about some of those things, because here's the thing. Here's the truth of it. If we came into this world, if God created us and we came into this world, and I don't know where y'all were born, but typically when you're born, you don't have no clothes on. You're born naked and unafraid. I guess that's a you know, T.D. Jakes' plug book. That actually was a good book. Naked and unafraid. That's how we come in this world. So why are people over here telling you got to wear this, you know, and then, you know, in the Islam, you got to cover up as a woman and all this kind of craziness? It's like, why? Why are we doing this? Why? It has nothing to do with God. Although people try to put it there. But I really truly believe that God don't care about that. You know, he don't care, because if he cared, then he would have created you with clothes when you came out and said, oh, you got to wear this. You know, but that's not how that went. You know what I mean? If you push the babies out, you push them out, they didn't have a damn thing on. If they cut them out of you, same thing. However they got here, they ain't had no clothes on when they got here. So why are we perseverating on, you know, what it is that you wear? You know, it always used to boggle my mind. You know, like when I was a kid, you know, in the religion that I was raised in, first, they wanted everybody to wear dresses. Women wear dresses. You got to always wear dresses, even to school. And I was like, no, because I was a tomboy and I like to, you know, used to run outside with the boys and play, you know, and play football and different things. You know, I love sports. And so, you know, that was one of the things that just got to me, because I was like, I don't understand how this can work. I don't get it. How does that work? You know, but these are just some of the things that, you know, I have thought of over the years, you know, when it comes to, you know, my spirituality, you know, and yeah, so if these are things that you are on your mind and that you're thinking about, or you are at a space where, you know, it's time for you to leave all of that behind, it's time to step over into, you know, really truly believing and connecting with God. Because what I have learned also is that many people in religion, they don't have no connection to God. They really don't. All they do is go to church. They go to church and they listen to what the pastor says, and I guess they get all their information from him, you know, or the priest or the whoever. You know, everybody has different things that they say. People that give the talks, they say in you know, other religions. But, you know, it's like, but they don't have a connection to God, to the source, to their own creator. You know, and to me, that is just wrong. It's just wrong. So if you're in this space, come and join me. Spiritual but not religious. You know, if you're looking for some assistance with that, I have mentorship programs actually that I'm creating to help you in, you know, acknowledging the God that lives within you, you know, to help you in opening up to your gifts and the things that you have been created to do. You know, even also a lot of times people lose their purpose when they get out of religion, you know, because the only purpose was to just, you know, be in religion, to just go to church. Because you could go to church every day, really, y'all. I've done it as a kid. There were weeks we went to church every single day, every day. You know, and so a lot of times people, when they're backing up away from that stuff, they lose their purpose, you know, because they feel like, you know, they're just supposed to be at the church and they're supposed to be serving. Because one thing that I also know is that when you go to church and they perceive that you have a servant's heart, Lord Jesus, they will use you. They will use you until they can't use you no more, and not pay you, but use you. You know, and so because I mean, we were at a place where me and my ex, we worked in the ministry, and our kids worked in the ministry. So we were all, you know, working and serving and all of that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? And they'll do it to you, And so I, actually had got to a space where I backed out of everything and just went to church because I was like, I just need to go and hear the word. I don't want to participate in anything right now, but this is what I need to do. And so that was the space that I got to right before I got to the space where I can't do it anymore. And I love gospel music because I sing. I used to sing in the choir. And I love gospel music. I do. I sing it even now. I listen to it. I have no issues with that. I love that Oceans. Matter of fact, that takes me into meditation so deeply. Oceans by Hillsong, that takes me into meditation. So see, you can throw out the baby without throwing out the bathwater. That's an example of that, because I know people that, they've left religion and they don't even listen. They don't want to hear no gospel music. They don't want to hear no preachers or nothing. I still I like T.D. Jakes. I like him. I listen to him. There are some ministers that I have listened to, over the years. And, I still listen to some of them. I used to love Tony Evans' radio show, y'all. So that tells you how old I am. I used to listen to Tony Evans on the radio. He used to have a radio show, and I used to listen to that. And, he was good. It was good, good word, good message. Joel Osteen, loved him. Tyler Perry loved them, loved to listen to them when they talk about God, when they talk about the Holy Spirit, when they talk about the oneness, because that is really what I see, is that religion has taken us a lot of the times away from the oneness with God, with Christ, with source, with the universe, the oneness, because we are one with God. We are one with the source. We are one. Why do we feel like we are separate? Why? What is that about? We are not separate. But what has happened is religion has told us that God is out there and we're here. Or God is up there and we're here. No, that is not correct. Hi, Angie. Thank you for joining me. But so that is one of the things that I wanted to share today. Those are some of the topics I wanted to talk to today on today's Thursday Healing Chats. I'll be back on again especially on TikTok. I'm going to come on later today and give some guidance because that's something that I've been feeling called to do. So anyway, thank you so much for joining me. And if you are looking, like I said, if you are in that space where you are coming out of religion and going into open spirituality, come and join my group on Facebook, Spiritual But Not Religious, because I'm really going to start getting into all of that. And I'm so good, Angie. I'm so good. I'm going to really start getting into and unpacking that for people that need that, people that are looking and that are ready to begin to open up, begin to understand themselves, because that really is the key. It's like you begin to understand who you are at a God level. That makes sense? Probably not. But you begin to understand who you are at a God level, and understand the divinity that lives inside of you, because we all have divinity that lives in us, and I am here for it. I am here for it. So I am a guide in that way. So I can actually be a guide and a mentor for you in that, if that is something that you are looking for. Send me a message, hit me up. I'm not entertaining any hate messages. So if that's on your heart to do, keep it to yourself. Look, send it to somebody else. Because I'm just like Jesus is love, as I'm love. But anyway, grateful to be here today, grateful to be anywhere today, because it is a beautiful, beautiful Thursday. July, what are we on, the 6th of July? So that is like so fire for me, and I'm so excited about it. But yeah, so if you are interested in that, and then keep a lookout, I'll be having some different workshops that I'm going to start doing, because that has been on my heart to do some workshops to talk about some of these things, because I also help guide people in their spiritual awakening journeys, to help to open up their gifts and to understand, some of the things that, we've been taught is wrong. Like they even talk about numerology. Numerology is all through the Bible. You got the Trinity, and there's other things too. But, that's all through the Bible, astrology, all of that, and so people, are down on what they're not up on. And that's okay. But that's why I'm here, to help you to get up on some of this stuff that you're down on, especially when you're ready to shift and move. Because, what people are leaving religion like, oh my God, at rapid rates. Somebody actually quoted something saying that it was like 20 million people that left religion during the pandemic, and like I said, I have no issue with that. Leave religion, but don't leave God. Keep God in the mix. Just let go of all of that. And my grandmother used to say it like this: eat the meat and spit out the bones. And to me, that was the simplest way to tell you to take what resonates with you and leave the rest. If it doesn't resonate with you, then don't bother with it. I mean, I do that in every area of my life. If I'm listening to a podcast or something, and they say something that don't hit me right, then I'm not gonna take that. I'm gonna leave it. And it's okay to do that. So anyhow, thank y'all for hanging out with me. I appreciate all of you that have stood up in this space with me for whatever length of time you did. If you're watching on TikTok and you want to rewatch, you can go on my Facebook page, or you can go on my YouTube channel. And my YouTube is in the bio, so you can just click on that and you can watch this, because this is live on YouTube as well as Facebook and TikTok. So thank you so much for hanging out with me. It's been a pleasure, and I have truly, truly enjoyed this interaction. In the words of Abraham Hicks, I have enjoyed this interaction immensely. Oh, yes, that's right. See you at happy hour. Yeah, I had to. I'm glad you reminded me, girl, because I was actually thinking about going to the beach. But anyway, I can do that after. So anyway, have a wonderful rest of your day, evening, night, weekend, and join me for some intuitive guidance on TikTok later this evening. I'm going to come on there, and I need to share some goodness, and I love to come on and speak to you people. So if you are on and you're looking for that, then come and join me. And tonight, I'm not, anything. Yeah. So I'll be back on probably this evening. I'm thinking probably somewhere around maybe 6 or 7 Pacific time. I'll be on TikTok coming on, and I'm going to start actually coming on more lives and doing more of that, because I know that it's needful and people need it and want to hear it. But I wanted to share a part of my journey from religion into spirituality, in order to help people see that you can do that, but you can also not throw out the baby with the bathwater. You can also make sure that you have that connection with God, with the source, with the Father, Mother, God is usually how I pray now. And you have that connection with the source, and you can have it even if you leave religion, because religion will tell you, oh, you can't do nothing, without us. And that's a bunch of bullshit too. Just so y'all know. So again, thank y'all for hanging out with me. I'm not going to be like the preacher and close 500 times. I'm going to go ahead and get off of here. Thank you for joining. It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure to be here. I will also be back live. Sunday service with the Morrisons will go on. We'll do Sunday services. We also do that on Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. And also, I will be live Tuesdays and Thursdays. I come live with healing chats. Typically, sometimes I have things that I want to share. Sometimes I just talk. And so I'll be on Tuesdays and Thursdays live on Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok as usual. And I also will be coming live to do some intuitive guidance as well. And then if you're on Clubhouse, I have a club, and I'm actually going to start back on in there as well. I think probably once a week is going to be how we're going to do it. And I'm going to sit down and figure out a time that works for me, that I can come in and on TikTok, on a Clubhouse. So I have a club, and I think it's writing to heal or something like that, sharing mindset tools or something like that. So if you want to join me there, I'll be there in Clubhouse. So again, thank you so much for hanging out with me. It's been a pleasure, and I will definitely be back on again later today. And again, probably I may come tomorrow as well. I'm not sure, but later this evening I'll be back on TikTok. But thank you for joining me. Bye now.